Jets up to the 30, the 20, 10, 5. Torrey Horton back to the end zone.
48-yard play. Guess who? Body up the middle, making another move to the outside. 15, 10, end zone again.
Keeps it. Nice move by Brown. He's got space. He's got 6. 35-yard touchdown for Byron Brown. A record-setting night for the South Florida quarterback.
Down so far, a little bit of a high snap. Jeanty right up the middle. Jeanty has room. Ashton Jeanty, give him 6.
Second and long. Lagar tries to fit it in. Runnels, it does. Runnels stays up. The show's off his 4-3 wheels. Incredible effort for Runnels.
The G5 Hive. All G5, all the time.
Welcome to the G5 Hive Live. We are excited to bring you the G5 college football coverage you love each and every week. I am Luke. I am joined by my co-host, Justice. If you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button. And if you're watching us on X, please give us a follow, a like, and a retweet. And if you're listening to us in podcast form, please rate and review. And don't forget to get the G5 Hive merchandise store. It is now live. Link is at the bottom of the YouTube video comments, as well as pinned on our X page and at the bottom of this screen. Let's talk about this. Stop the steal.
Yeah, so, I've seen folks using this phrase, in regards to stop the steal from the G5 players getting the awards that they rightfully deserve. In other words, get rid of the G5 bias. Let's try and look at this, from a holistic standpoint, or the P4 bias, I guess I should say. It's bias against the G5, and stop. Give these kids the recognition they deserve. And so I think I got five players and awards here that I think are definitely deserve to be won by a G5 player. And we're going to start with the granddaddy of them all. If you're watching, please comment. Like we want some interaction here. I'd love to hear your thoughts. But let's start with the Heisman Award, right? The best player in college football. And in my opinion, it's a 2-horse race now. But in my opinion, it's Ashton Jeanty. I understand folks that argue for Travis Hunter. I personally don't buy it. We'll get into Ashton's resume, but he's number 1 in rushing yards, 1,893 yards. Number 1 in touchdowns, 26. Number 1 in yards after contact, 1,370 yards after contact. Number 1 in broken tackles, 105 missed tackles forced. That's the highest number since Bijan did it, and he's passed Bijan in 10 games. He's still got 2 more games to go. And so, he's having a phenomenal year. He's number 1 in first downs with 89. He's the number 1 rated running back on PFF with his PFF grade. Means he is the best running back in the nation. I don't think anyone would argue that Ashton Jeanty is not the best running back in college football, right? I think that's a pretty safe argument. I think I can safely say no one's going to disagree with that. Well, let's look at the 2 most recent running backs that won the Heisman Award. Let's look at Derrick Henry. In his Heisman winning campaign, he rushed for 1,986 yards and 23 touchdowns. Okay, he's got less than 100 yards more than Ashton Jeanty. Ashton has 2 more games to go. Ashton already has more touchdowns than Derrick Henry. Look at the other one, Mark Ingram, 1,542 yards and 15 touchdowns. That's way back in Ashton's rearview mirror, right? He's already had a better season than Mark Ingram. Okay, and you say, well, he still hasn't done enough. Travis Hunter's the man. My problem with the whole argument is, and I think it's a 2-horse race. I think Cam Ward is gone. I don't think Dylan Gabriel is a serious contender. I think this is down to Ashton Jeanty and Travis Hunter. And my problem with Travis Hunter is he's good. I'm not going to say he's not good, but he is not the best receiver. He is not the best cornerback. The best quality that Travis Hunter has is that he plays both ways. And that's great. That's awesome. But if that's the criteria we're going to use, then freaking Cal Ripken Jr. should have been the MVP every year in Major League Baseball, right? Because he's the Iron Man. He's always playing. But that's, to me, that's not, and I don't buy that as a valid number one reason that he should win the Heisman. Travis Hunter, look at receivers. I'm going to walk you through receivers and cornerbacks. He is 13th in receiving yards, 4th in receptions, 8th in touchdowns, and he is the 10th highest graded wide receiver per PFF. So I think you can safely say he is a top 10 receiver. Top 10. Now let's look at cornerback. He is the 7th rated cornerback in pass coverage, 13th in interceptions, 42nd cornerback in QB rating against, and he is the 16th cornerback in adjusted net yards against. I think you'd be hard-pressed to say he's a top 10 cornerback in college football based on stats. And so to me, like, you're making an argument for a guy that's, okay, I mean, even you do say he's top 10. He's number 10 in both. He's the 10th best cornerback. He's the 10th best receiver. He should be the Heisman. He's not the best at anything. And so that's the problem I have. Ashton Jeanty is clearly the best running back in college football. He's what has he not done? I mean, he did it against Oregon, the number one team in the country. And I don't know. Like, I hate to see it get stolen from the guy that deserves it the most to a guy that's going to get it just because he plays both ways. And I'm not saying he's not good, but like the number one argument is that he plays both ways. Okay, well, to me, that's not a good enough number one argument for you to win the Heisman. What do you think, Luke?
Make a lot of good points. I'll be interested when the Heisman voting comes out, and that they split up in the regions as to. I don't know. I'm assuming that Colorado is in the West region, because then that's where a lot of the stealing will happen, because then you'll have people voting from everywhere. But what it's going to come down to is, I think Boise State needs to promote Ashton Jeanty more than they are, because your casual fan who doesn't know anything about college football or tunes into whatever game's showing Saturday night they're going to be like, oh, I've seen that guy. Just like sometimes when it comes to political voting and this and that, like, oh, I don't know who's running for the Secretary of Agricultural in my city, but I saw that name on a flyer somewhere. You'll have people like that, and I feel like that's where Ashton Jeanty is really going to lose a lot of votes, are those people that it's kind of interesting because they're both Texas, right? From Texas. So like people down there will know. And then Travis Hunter will probably get some Florida votes. But yeah, I agree. Ashton Jeanty's put on a monster season. He probably had one down game. I'm trying to think the one they looked human. Hawaii, he looked human. I think he's got Wyoming still on the schedule. Maybe that's this week. I'm not sure. He should run for 1 billion yards against Wyoming. That should help. But it's hard. You'll be hard pressed to say that he doesn't deserve it. And I think Boise State needs to turn up the volume on his campaign. And he's got a crazy story. If you guys haven't heard it, check it out on my personal Twitter at Probasco Luke or _ Luke. I don't remember my Twitter name. It's right there at Probasco Luke. But I did an interview with him, and he has got a story where he was in a military. He was went to high school a couple miles from where Kobe Bryant went to high school in middle school when Kobe was there. Not like when he was there, but his school talked about traveling to different countries to play football and what it was like, and then the trip to 6A state or college or 6A Texas football, that whole that whole journey. So if you haven't, go check that out. It was pretty neat. But yeah, I mean that's what I gotta say about that. I understand where Travis Hunter's votes will come from, and you're not wrong. But people making these votes aren't always logical. As in, I've seen the AP top 25 and understand, like, how's that team still in there? Well, it's because they just leave their top 25 the same, and then they just move things a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not saying Travis Hunter's a bad player. He's not. But my biggest heartburn over him winning the Heisman is that his number one argument is because he plays both ways. And that just like that's awesome and that's great, but like he's not the best. He's not the best receiver. He's not the best cornerback. And we availability is awesome, but like to me, like if you're gonna say that Travis Hunter should win the Heisman, there needs to be a better argument than he played both ways. Like that shouldn't be the number one argument.
I think your Cal Ripken analogy, I think the thing now would be Shohei Ohtani, because like, okay, yeah, he's a really good pitcher and a hitter. Like, oh, he should just, because he does both, he should win it
win the MVP every year, right?
Like,
I mean, because Cal Ripken won MVP, but he didn't win it every year.
Right, and Shohei Ohtani is really good at baseball, and when he does win it, he's very well deserving, but doesn't mean he should win it every single year. You're right.
Right. So yeah, Ashton JT. I don't think anyone would convince us. We don't have a vote. Maybe one day we'll have a vote, but we don't have a vote today. But to me, it's undoubtedly should be Ashton JT for Heisman. And that's going to wrap us up this week.
That was a little bit longer, but it was great. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We had a lot of people watching online, YouTube, X. Make sure you go out, you follow us if you like what we do. Show us some love out there on Twitter. Come back and join us next week as we discuss what happened in Week 13, as well as look forward to Week 14 of the 2024 season. And as always, bring you up to date on all the latest news and happenings from the world of G5 college football. If you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button. If you're watching us on X, please give us a retweet, a like, and a follow. And if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please subscribe and leave those 5-star ratings and reviews. Thank you all for your support. Until the next time, we are the G55.